Hi, I'm Maddie Orton for JerseyArts.com. Glass artist Alex Rosenberg garnered international attention for his work on the competition show Blown Away. But before he was a hit on Netflix, he was a creative glass fellow and guest artist lecturer at Wheaton Arts and Cultural Center. Alex is now back at Wheaton Arts as the organization's new glass studio director. Alex, thank you so much for being here. It's great to talk to you.
Thanks for inviting me.
So you are a stunning glass artist, and I imagine it's not an easy art form to pick up, because I mean, you need a specific space and all these tools. How did you get interested in glass blowing?
Yeah, I think like many people, my introduction to glass was almost accidental. I was a high school dropout living on the West Coast, and I had a roommate who was bringing home these primitive glass blobs. And yeah, I knew that they weren't good technically, and I also didn't really conflate them with my understanding of what fine art was. But I was curious enough about the process that I decided to go take the class. And I was very, very bad at it. Like I didn't arrive and say, "Oh, this is easy. I'm talented. I was made to do this." It was more like I just really liked it. I liked the process, and I think I liked the challenge of it. And years later, when I arrived in art school, there was a glass program, and that really kind of expanded my understanding of what the material could be in terms of an art form.
So what do you like about working with glass that a layperson might not realize?
I mean, I do like the challenge of it. I guess maybe it's obvious that it's challenging, but sometimes when you see people that are good at it, it seems like it's just it seems kind of natural. But I do like the practice element of it. It's more to me like learning an instrument or a sport than other art forms. It's really like becomes part of my life. There's like training exercise, it's like practicing the scales or doing drills or anything like that you would associate with these other things. And I like that it's social. It's a lot of people think about an artist as somebody who kind of goes by themselves and acts as a divine conduit for inspiration, and that's not really what the glass making process is like. We're working as a team, there's communication, you're talking to people. I really like that, and I like that there's a community aspect kind of built into the medium.
One of the things that I loved from watching Blown Away was seeing how closely you work with, I guess, your assistant in terms of taking the glass pieces off and maneuvering them together. And then also how you can work so long on something and make it so perfect only to have it break. There's something kind of, I don't know, meditative about that, maybe the idea that it's not always going to work out and you push through.
I love that. It is true that like most of the time when making glass, the objective is to make a thing at the end, but that frustration of losing stuff is something that you have to go through so many times, especially like early on learning the material, that it kind of just becomes built into the process in some ways. Like if you can't kind of get used to that, maybe glass making isn't the medium for you.
Well, so speaking of glass making, you've been involved with Wheaton Arts in multiple capacities. Tell me a little bit about your role as glass studio director. What does that entail?
Yeah, and kind of overseeing all of the programming that happens around the glass studio, from kind of the day-to-day to some of the larger projects. So some of the things that the studio does are we have the fellowship program, where we bring early to mid-career artists in and give them really the free run of the space, to experiment and develop their work. We also rent to the public. We do demonstrations to the public. We're open during the week. Anybody can walk in and see what's going on in the studio. We do fabrication projects where the studio makes glass for other artists and institutions. And we have educational programming, which is something that I'm really interested in kind of revamping and trying to expand a little bit.
Wheaton Arts has so many different programs and components to it. You have the Museum of American Glass, the Down Jersey Folklife Center, and then the artist studios, flamework, glass, pottery. How do all of those different areas of Wheaton Arts intersect?
This is one of the things that I was so excited about becoming a part of the community here. My individual artistic practice, I've always described as being interdisciplinary in nature. And to me, a big part of that is conversing with these other disciplines through the lens of one kind of area of specialty. So I think a lot of it is kind of coming together with these different areas and seeing kind of like what we can bring to them. You know, like what's the glassy way to interact with the museum? What's the glassy way to interact with the Folk Life Center? And these kind of conversations and interactions, I think, will shape kind of the overarching vision of WheatonArts.
And you have a lot coming up, a bunch of different events for the public, but the one that's immediately coming up is Wheaton Springs. What is that?
That's right. So Wheaton Springs, it kind of aligns with Wheaton's opening to the public and you know, celebrating the change in season. Among other things, we're going to have live demonstrations going on in the various studios, including the Glass studio. So I think it'll be worth a visit.
Well, I can't wait to come back down. It's been a while with COVID, and I'm such a fan. So I'm looking forward to being there soon.
We will look forward to hosting you.
Thanks so much, Alex. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Wheaton Springs is coming up on April 2nd, and you can find more information at WheatonArts.org. I'm Maddie Orton. Thanks for watching.